Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel, Forever in Memory. In this video, we'll be honoring American celebrities who have passed away today and in recent days, along with other notable figures from around the world. Before we begin, please show your support by giving this video a like. It really helps the channel. Thank you. And let's get started.
Oscar Wilde was an American businessman who passed away at the age of 101. A self-made oil tycoon and one of the most formidable figures in the Texas energy world, he rose from humble beginnings to become one of the most influential voices in the petroleum industry. Known for his sharp instincts, fearless negotiations, and unapologetic style, Wyatt built Coastal Corporation into a multi-billion-dollar powerhouse that helped shape America's modern energy landscape. Born in 1924 in Beaumont, Texas, he grew up during the Great Depression, working odd jobs and serving as a pilot during World War II before entering the oil business. His life became a symbol of grit and ambition, a man who understood both the risks and rewards of taking bold action. Over the decades, he navigated the volatile world of oil trading with both brilliance and controversy, earning respect and criticism in equal measure. Though his career saw storms and headlines, Oscar Wilde remained a towering presence until his final years, admired for his relentless work ethic, his deep loyalty to his employees, and his belief that success was never given, only earned. His story embodied the complex spirit of the American entrepreneur, daring, stubborn, and unforgettable.
György Mezei was a Hungarian football player who passed away at the age of 84. Revered both on and off the field, he was a man whose influence on Hungarian football spanned generations. Known first as a talented midfielder with a sharp tactical mind, he later became one of the nation's most respected coaches, guiding teams with discipline, intelligence, and heart. Born in 1941 in Budapest, Mezei came of age during a time when football was more than a game. It was a source of pride and identity for a country rebuilding its spirit. His playing career, though modest compared to his later achievements, revealed the analytical precision that would define his coaching philosophy. In the 1980s, he took charge of the Hungarian national team and led them to qualification for the 1986 World Cup, an achievement that remains one of the nation's most memorable footballing moments of that era. Throughout his career, Mezei was admired for his leadership, humility, and passion for developing young talent. His influence extended beyond tactics and trophies. He taught his players integrity, perseverance, and the art of teamwork. György Mezei's name stands among those who carried forward Hungary's proud football tradition, leaving behind a legacy of wisdom, mentorship, and love for the beautiful game.
Joan Bennett Kennedy was an American socialite who passed away at the age of 89. Known for her grace, intelligence, and quiet strength, she was a prominent figure in American public life during one of the most storied eras of the Kennedy family. As the former wife of Senator Edward Ted Kennedy, she stood at the intersection of politics, culture, and history, embodying both the glamour and the pressures of a life lived in the public eye. Born in 1936 in Manhattan, and raised in a family that valued education and refinement, Joan's poise and musical talent distinguished her early on. A gifted pianist, she once aspired to a career in music before fate tied her to one of America's most famous families. Her marriage to Ted Kennedy in 1958 placed her at the heart of political history, witnessing both triumphs and tragedies that defined a generation. Through moments of joy and deep personal struggle, she maintained an elegance that made her admired by the public and respected by those who knew her personally. Beyond her public image, Joan Bennett Kennedy devoted much of her later life to advocacy and quiet philanthropy, especially in causes related to health and addiction recovery. Her resilience, dignity, and enduring empathy turned her story into one not only of privilege, but of perseverance. Remembered as a woman of substance behind the headlines, she leaves a legacy of grace under pressure and compassion in the face of adversity.
Ace Fincham was a British drummer who passed away at the age of 62. Best known for his dynamic energy and charismatic stage presence, he became a prominent figure in the rock and glam metal scene of the 1980s. As the drummer for Tiger Tails, one of the United Kingdom's most iconic glam bands, Fincham helped define a sound and image that captured the wild spirit of the era, loud, colorful, and unapologetically bold. Born in the early 1960s in the United Kingdom, Fincham discovered music as a teenager and quickly found his rhythm behind the drum kit. His powerful playing style combined precision with raw passion, making him the heartbeat of every band he played with. Tiger Tails rose to international attention with their flamboyant look and infectious sound, and Ace's relentless drumming drove their performances with explosive intensity. Though his life on stage was full of noise and movement, those who knew him personally remembered a kind, down-to-earth man with a wicked sense of humor and a deep love for his craft. Even after the glam era faded, he continued to perform, record, and inspire younger musicians. Ace Fincham's legacy lives on in the pulse of every drumbeat that still echoes from that golden age of British rock, a rhythm that refuses to die.
Zdravko Šotra was a Serbian film director who passed away at the age of 92. A towering figure in the cultural life of the former Yugoslavia and modern Serbia, he was celebrated for his profound storytelling, cinematic elegance, and deep understanding of human nature. Over a career that spanned more than 6 decades, Šotra directed some of the most beloved films and television series in the region, capturing both the humor and heartbreak of everyday life. Born in 1933 in the town of Kozinice, he grew up during a turbulent period of history that would later shape his artistic vision. His works often blended nostalgia, irony, and warmth, reflecting the complexities of Balkan identity with honesty and compassion. Among his best-known creations were Zona Zamfirova, Layanje na zvezde, and Ivkova Slava, films that became cultural landmarks, uniting audiences through their wit, emotion, and vivid portrayal of Serbian tradition and spirit. Šotra's directing style was characterized by clarity, rhythm, and an unpretentious love for people. He had an extraordinary gift for turning literature into living, breathing cinema, and for drawing unforgettable performances from actors across generations. His legacy is not merely a filmography, but a mirror of a nation's soul, a collection of stories that celebrate resilience, laughter, and the quiet beauty of ordinary life. Through his art, Zdravko Šotra taught audiences that even the simplest human moment can be timeless when told with truth and heart.
Niyazi Sahin was a Turkish ney flautist and music educator
who passed away at the age of 98. Revered as one of the greatest masters of Ottoman classical music, he devoted his life to preserving and perfecting the spiritual art of the ney, the ancient reed flute that has symbolized mysticism and divine expression for centuries. His playing, delicate and transcendent, carried the listener beyond sound itself into silence, reflection, and the divine breath from which music is born. Born in Istanbul 1927, Sayin's connection to music began at an early age, surrounded by the echoes of mosques and the rhythm of Turkish culture. His technique and tone were often described as otherworldly, each note imbued with both melancholy and grace. Over the decades, he became a guiding figure in Turkish classical and Sufi music, collaborating with legendary musicians such as Tamburi Necdet Yaşar, with whom he recorded performances that are still considered masterpieces. Beyond performance, Sayin was a dedicated teacher who passed on not just musical skill, but spiritual discipline. His students learned that playing the ney was not simply an act of sound, but a form of prayer. For nearly a century, he bridged the old and the new, ensuring that the sacred traditions of Turkish music would continue to breathe through future generations. Niyazi Sayin's legacy remains etched in the soul of his country, a quiet, eternal melody that still whispers through the reeds.
Dolly Parton was born in a one-room cabin in the Great Smoky Mountains of Tennessee, where music was as natural as breathing and poverty was simply a way of life. She grew up as one of 12 children in a family that knew struggle but never lacked for love. The sound of crickets in the summer and church choirs on Sunday mornings were her first lessons in harmony. Her father, a hard-working farmer, couldn't read or write, but he gave her grit. Her mother, who sang to the children while sewing their clothes, gave her melody. Out of those mountains, out of that mixture of hardship and heart, came a little girl with a big voice and a dream far too large for the valley that cradled her. From the moment Dolly learned her first 3 chords on a weathered guitar, she understood that music could carry her beyond the hills. She sang wherever she could, at church gatherings, on local radio shows, even standing on wooden crates in front of grocery stores when she was barely tall enough to hold the microphone. Her songs were simple at first, but they came from a place of truth. Neighbors would stop to listen, their eyes softening as the child sang about love, loss, and faith, with a wisdom far beyond her years. When she was a teenager, the bright lights of Nashville shimmered in her imagination like a promise. On the day after she graduated high school, she left home with nothing but a suitcase, her guitar, and the unshakable belief that she was meant for something extraordinary. Her family cried when she boarded the bus, but Dolly smiled through the tears. She wasn't leaving her roots behind, she was carrying them with her, woven into every note she would ever sing. In Nashville, the world didn't open easily. The city was filled with hopefuls just like her, girls with big hair, bigger voices, and the same wide-eyed dreams. But Dolly had something different, a spark that blended innocence with ambition, kindness with confidence. She wrote songs late into the night, her little apartment echoing with melodies that sounded like prayers whispered into the dark. Even when doors closed, she kept knocking, never losing the warmth that made people remember her. By her early 20s, she began to make her way onto country music charts, her voice carrying both the purity of the mountains and the polish of a star in the making. The child from the Smokies had begun her long, remarkable climb, not just toward fame, but toward becoming one of the most beloved figures in American music, a symbol of resilience, wrapped in rhinestones and sincerity.
When Dolly arrived in Nashville, she carried with her more than a voice. She carried a story that people instantly felt but couldn't quite explain. Her songs didn't sound like the slick, polished hits that filled the radio. They sounded like truth. In those early years, she wrote for others to survive, crafting melodies for singers who were already established. Her pen was her secret weapon. Each lyric seemed to hold a fragment of her soul, simple words about everyday people, but wrapped in warmth, humor, and pain. Those songs caught the ear of producers and performers who began to whisper her name with a mix of curiosity and admiration. Her first big break came when she joined the Porter Wagoner Show in the late 1960s. Standing beside the charismatic and seasoned Porter Wagoner, Dolly's bright smile and high, crystalline voice instantly captured America's attention. The television audience fell in love with the contrast between her small-town innocence and the confidence she radiated on stage. She was magnetic, the kind of performer who could make a song feel like a conversation with an old friend. Yet behind the sparkle, there was a quiet determination. She knew that every appearance, every duet, every handshake was one more step toward becoming her own artist, not just someone else's discovery. As the years went on, that partnership became both her ladder and her cage. She adored Porter for helping her find her audience, but she began to feel the tug of independence. There were nights she stared at the Nashville skyline from her apartment window, wondering if she had the courage to leave. Her heart answered before her mind did. She wrote, "I will always love you," a farewell disguised as a love song, tender and timeless. When she first sang it for Porter, he wept. That song became more than her goodbye. It became her anthem of self-respect, one that would echo through generations. The 1970s marked the birth of Dolly Parton, the icon. She emerged from the shadow of mentorship with a sound that was entirely her own. Part country, part gospel, part pop, and completely her spirit. Songs like Jolene revealed her storytelling brilliance, her ability to turn jealousy and vulnerability into art that felt universal. Her voice danced between strength and fragility, turning every phrase into a heartbeat. At a time when country music was still dominated by men, she stood at the microphone, unapologetically feminine, confident, and radiant. People often talked about her appearance, the blonde hair, the glittering clothes, the laughter that could fill a room. But beneath the glamour was a woman who understood survival. She knew how it felt to have nothing, to dream through hunger and cold nights. Her glamour wasn't vanity, it was armor. It was her way of saying that beauty can be built out of pain, that joy can be worn like a crown, even when life tries to humble you. In every sequin dress and every tender lyric, Dolly Parton was telling the world the same thing she had always told herself, that kindness and courage are not opposites, but the same thing said in two different ways.
By the late 1970s, Dolly Parton had crossed a line few country artists dared to approach. She became a global phenomenon. Her songs were no longer confined to southern radio stations or smoky honky-tonks. They were played in cities across the world, where audiences who didn't even speak English still understood the emotion in her voice. When Here You Come Again hit the charts, it signaled a transformation. She was no longer just the girl from Tennessee with a guitar. She was a star who could fill concert halls and movie theaters. A woman who had taken the poetry of the mountains and turned it into a universal language. Hollywood soon came calling. Dolly's charm, humor, and unfiltered authenticity made her irresistible on screen. In 1980, she made her film debut in 9 to 5, alongside Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin, a comedy that wasn't just funny, but revolutionary. Her character, Dora Lee Rhodes, a secretary fighting against sexism in the workplace, mirrored her real-life fight for female independence in the music industry. She wrote the film's theme song in a single burst of inspiration, tapping her fingernails against a desk to create the rhythm. 9 to 5 became an anthem for working women everywhere, proving that Dolly wasn't only an entertainer,
She was a voice for empowerment, courage, and fairness. As her fame grew, so did her generosity. She used her success not to build walls, but to open doors. In 1986, she founded Dollywood, a theme park in her beloved Smoky Mountains, creating jobs and bringing pride back to the place that shaped her. Later, her imagination library would provide free books to millions of children across the world, nurturing young minds who, like her, might be dreaming of something bigger than the world they were born into. Dolly's philanthropy was never for show. It was an extension of her heart, a reflection of the same girl who once sang barefoot on a front porch, believing that love and kindness could change a life. Through the decades, she never stopped creating. She recorded albums that blended gospel, bluegrass, and pop with ease. She collaborated with artists from every genre imaginable. Her laughter remained the same, bright, infectious, a sound that could lift a room. She weathered the tides of fame without bitterness, always grateful, always grounded. When asked how she managed to stay humble, she would smile and say, "It's hard to be proud when you remember where you came from." Dolly Parton's story became larger than music. She became a symbol of resilience, creativity, and compassion. Proof that a poor girl from the mountains could rise to touch the stars and never forget the road that led her there. Her songs continue to tell the stories of ordinary people with extraordinary hearts, and her legacy lives wherever a melody carries hope. For the millions who have found strength in her words, Dolly is more than a singer. She is a reminder that light born in hardship can shine for a lifetime, and that kindness, like music, never fades.